What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. I'm going to talk about what happens after this fight that happens tomorrow between Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. And the short of it is that one of these two guys, it's time to jump to the end of the line, man, on all this nonsense. So we can see who the real single champion in the middleweight division is. And in order for these guys to prove that stuff, you got to fight the best cats. And the WBC mandatory for whoever wins this is going to be Jermall Charlo. So with that, the most important thing that I'm wondering out of this fight is not who's going to win between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, but whether the winner of that is going to do what's right and step up and fight Jermall Charlo to really prove that they're one of the best cats in the middleweight, that they begin their to prove that they're the best middleweight in the division at the moment. Now, before I go into that, I want to thank everybody that's tuning into the channel, subscribers. Thank you as always for coming to the channel and supporting. People who are not subscribed, man, I welcome you to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we release videos and when we do do live streams. Also, thank you to everybody that supports the channel by watching the videos. I put ads in the videos so that we can generate revenue for the channel because, super chat and all that stuff is not always, the most reliable way to gain revenue for the channel because this channel is in place to support a cause. And also, in addition to supporting youth programs that I like to do, I also am trying to find other, smaller boxing YouTube channels where we can support these cats once they get up, over the 1,000 subs and are able to do that, man, just to continue to grow the Lions Den boxing community and, just make it a viable force in boxing. And I think that that's very, very important because it's the one place in all of the boxing media where you can have a regular supply of voices, people that really do want to see the best fight the best and who are willing to say what they think and are not necessarily in the pockets of promoters. And and that's what I like. So thank you guys for supporting on Super Chat, on Venmo, and Patreon and all the above. Just thank you guys very much. Now let me get to this. I'm a Canelo Alvarez fan. So before anybody jumps out there and says, hey, you just hating on Canelo or you just hating on Gennady Golovkin. Look, man, Gennady Golovkin is a 36-year-old man, dude. Okay? He's a 36-year-old man and it's his time is about over. He in my opinion, he lost to a blown up 154 pounder in Canelo Alvarez in the last fight. If you happen to think that Gennady Golovkin won, fine for you. I think Canelo won, but at the end of the day, the totality of the referee's decision, the ultimate decision that was rendered by the combination of the three judges disagreed with both of us, and it was a draw. Before that, he looked shaky in front of he looked shaky. Actually, he fought Rosen, who's a blown up 154 pounder. And then he had fought, the last fight he had in between these two fights with Canelo was Rosen. But before he had fought Canelo, he had a close, questionable decision against Daniel Jacobs. And, it's the time, the end is near for Gennady Golovkin. Okay. And Gennady Golovkin, if he's able to beat Canelo Alvarez, which I don't think he will be, but, there's a chance. I think it's close enough that it could go, either way. And especially with the games these cats are playing, I wouldn't be surprised if there was another draw to milk it. But Gennady Golovkin's baked, okay? Gennady Golovkin is not going to he will never unify the 160-pound division. And because, number one, he already wouldn't fight Derevyanchenko. And I'm sorry for pronouncing his name right. Derevyanchenko was IBF mandatory, so he got stripped. Now the IBF belt is out there with Danny Jacobs, the winner of Danny Jacobs and Derevyanchenko. Then you have Demetrius Andrade fighting for the WBO belt against Billy Joe Saunders. But over on the WBC side and the WBA side, he has Jermall Charlo. And Jermall Charlo is going to beat the brakes off of Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin is too old. He's too slow. At this point in time, the book is out on him. Jermall Charlo is a better fighter than Daniel Jacobs is. He hits harder than Daniel Jacobs. He's a better boxer than Daniel Jacobs. And if Gennady Golovkin comes anywhere near Daniel Jacobs, he's going to lose. I don't care what Abel Sanchez talks about. Canelo Alvarez, I am a fan of Canelo Alvarez. But Canelo Alvarez right now is starting to talk about Errol Spence Jr. I am not interested in a Errol Spence Jr. versus Canelo Alvarez fight. And not because I don't believe that Errol Spence can win. People have asked me about that. I'm not sure. I keep going back and forth on that. But the way that Canelo Alvarez looked in the weigh-in versus Gennady Golovkin is he looked a little slim. So if it does wind up that computer all really affected his size and all that, and he's really the same size as Errol Spence, then that could be a lot of problems for him. But I want to see Errol Spence do what he's got to do down there at 147 pounds. As far as Jermall Charlo, it is time for these cats to step up and fight him. I'm not interested in the nonsense that these cats are talking about. With Bernard Hopkins saying, that Jermall Charlo's not going to bully himself into a fight with Canelo Alvarez. Look, man, either if Canelo Alvarez winds up being the WBC champion and you got a WBC mandatory, he needs to do, and shout out to my man 78 Sports TV, shout out to Black Fight Fan TV. I did listen to their videos and I was really vibing with what they're talking about, man, because it's time to it will be time to step on the gas for Jermall Charlo to be able to get his shot at that belt, whether it be Canelo Alvarez or it's Gennady Golovkin. And I'm saying that from the perspective of somebody that likes Canelo Alvarez. I think that as much as I like Canelo Alvarez, man, the way that Canelo Alvarez has problems with Gennady Golovkin, I think he's going to be in a world of trouble against Jermall Charlo. And despite the fact that I like Canelo Alvarez, I like the way that he fights, and I've been rooting for Canelo Alvarez, I want to see unification in every division in boxing, including obviously the 160-pound division. And the only guy that I think that will have enough nerve to face all of the other champions is Jermall Charlo. I don't believe Daniel Jacobs. I don't believe Billy Joe Saunders. I definitely don't believe Gennady Golovkin. Maybe Derevyanchenko, if Derevyanchenko was able to beat Daniel Jacobs. Maybe he would. I haven't seen enough of him to say, what I think of their characters. But if Billy Joe Saunders loses to Demetrius Andrade, and I have a suspicion that he's going to lose to Demetrius Andrade, it is going to be real. My gut tells me that Demetrius Andrade beats him. I think Demetrius Andrade is despite all of the wearing lace and trying to look like George Washington in press conferences, I think that dude can fight. So I give the advantage in the United States between Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade. I give that advantage to Demetrius Andrade. But will Demetrius Andrade fight Jermall Charlo? I highly doubt it. Especially if Jermall Charlo doesn't have a belt. But this is the one guy that does not have a belt in the 160-pound division that I believe has a legitimate chance of beating everybody else in that division. And since he's the mandatory for the WBC, his time is up. Face the fight. If I'm wrong about Jermall Charlo, so be it. But there shouldn't be any Gennady Golovkin versus Vanis Marta-Rosen type fights anymore. There definitely shouldn't be any type of Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. type of fights. All right. If they've done this thing 2 times. After the second fight with Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, then the WBC absolutely positively needs to force whoever it is that has that WBC title to fight Jermall Charlo. And if it's Canelo Alvarez, I don't care how much money Canelo Alvarez makes in his how many pay-per-views he sells, or whatever whatever the subjective opinion of his promoter or co-promoter or the guy that works for his promoter, whatever Bernard Hopkins is. I couldn't care less about Bernard Hopkins' opinion. Jermall Charlo is the guy that whoever the WBC champion is, he needs to fight Jermall Charlo, and he needs to fight Jermall Charlo next and prove whether or not he really is the man. And after that's done, because I don't have any faith in Canelo Alvarez or Gennady Golovkin in beating Jermall Charlo. After that, it should proceed right on to the WBA, and if they do beat him, they beat him. But from there, it goes to whoever the WBA, whether it's Demetrius Andrade and whoever the winner is between Demetrius Andrade and Billy Joe Saunders. They need to fight the winner of whoever the winner is between Daniel Jacobs and Deverenchenko, or the winner of Jermall Charlo and whoever the winner is between Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. But whatever the case is, they need to get this stuff moving, push towards the undisputed championship at 160 pounds, period. Because if you get that 160-pound division, this is my beef with these cats. Similar to Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua. They want to it seems like once somebody becomes the number one money earner in a weight division, they act like they've made it. Like they've completely solidified their position in boxing, and everybody else has to kowtow to them. And if they don't like the fight, they don't have to make it. And, if it's a mandatory, okay, maybe we'll take the mandatory. Maybe we won't take the mandatory. Whatever all that nonsense that goes on, I don't care about. I want to see who the best 160-pounder is. And it would benefit everybody, because once you know who the man is, who the one champion is at a weight division, then they can go back and fight everybody else in that weight division. All the other, just because you lost doesn't mean you can't have a rematch. And have the rematch be exciting, do good numbers, and you can make money. But that's from the boxer's point of view. From the fighter's from the fans' point of view, I want to see who the best guy is. And that includes guys who have belts and guys who do not have belts. Just like Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz deserves, in the heavyweight division, he deserves to have people fight him. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so impressed with Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder did something that you would not have expected, that I don't expect something for Canelo Alvarez to do or Gennady Golovkin to do, which is beat the 160-pound boogeyman, and that is Jermall Charlo, right? But what did Deontay Wilder do when he couldn't get a shot at the fight that he wanted? He took on the toughest guy that nobody else wanted to fight. That was Victor Ortiz. And then once Anthony Joshua faked him out again, what did he do? We'll take Tyson Fury. And it eventually, dude's going to climb himself up to the top of that division, whether or not Anthony Joshua wants it or not. Same thing for these cats is going to happen to these guys, I suspect, at 147 and 160 pounds if Jermall Charlo's the real deal. Eventually, one of those guys are going to have to get in a ring with him. And the more that they act, similar to the Deontay Wilder deal, the more that they act like they don't want it because they can avoid it, the more pressure is going to be put on them in this the way that boxing conversations are going on in the social media area. People are going to be on these dudes ridiculously hard about fighting the people that it seems like they don't want to fight. Last year it started with Rigondeaux. All that, now Lomachenko got out of it, but there's a lot of pressure on them to make that fight. A lot of pressure on Anthony Joshua, just like to the point where Anthony Joshua has actually lost a lot of his status, a lot of his shine because of the pressure that was put on him. The same thing can happen to Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin. If for some reason Danny Jacobs is the guy that makes it, I wouldn't have as much a concern about Danny Jacobs taking the fight. I believe that he would. But All of these guys need to have that pressure put on them. So because this is the time where, boxing fans have a voice, and we can put out just as many videos as, the production companies of these promoters, and a lot of times have a bigger voice and a lot more reach for our opinions. And so, I co-sign what Black Fight Fan TV said and what 78 Sports TV say. And of course, my man Blood Boxing talks about what the unification and not being interested in anybody that doesn't seem like they want to become the unified champion. After this fight, whoever the winner between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin needs to step up and fight Jermall Charlo. Whoever wins, I'm not interested in a rematch. I wasn't interested in the first fight. Not interested in the second fight. To have a third fight is nothing but some self-serving nonsense from the people thinking that they can milk Canelo Alvarez's fans into one more $90 per pay-per-view evening. And it is what it is, man. And we'll see what's happening. But hey, thanks for everybody for tuning in. And, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel. And I'm out. Peace.